Hello, Primary 4 students. On behalf of AMS English Department, I'd like to welcome you today. I'm Miss Angela Grudi. How are you doing? I hope you're all doing well. In this video, we are going to learn the reading text of Unit 13. Today's agenda item is your Oxford Discover Students Book. Now, let's get started. Now I want you to open your books on page 129. Before we read the text, we have to think about the reading strategy. We have here, read with me, think, when do you learn new information about the world? How do you feel when you learn this new information? So, this is the reading strategy. Learn main idea and supporting details. An entire reading will have one main idea. Also, each paragraph or section in the reading will usually have its own main idea. Supporting details explain the main idea of a reading or a paragraph. As we have here, read the information, write the main idea, and 3 supporting details in each graphic organizer. Let's read this text and write the main idea and 3 supporting details. Drake is very interested in news from around the world. Every morning while he eats breakfast, he reads the newspaper. On the train to work, he uses his smartphone to check news on the web. After he returns home at night, Jack watches news on television and then discusses it on a social network with his friends. As we see, the main idea is Drake is very interested in news from around the world. Supporting details: 1. He reads the newspaper while he eats breakfast. 2. He checks internet news on his smartphone on the way to work. 3. At night, he watches news on television and discusses it on a social network. So the main idea is that he is very interested in news, and those supporting details support the main idea. Now let's move to page 130 and 131 to read the text, and now listen to the text.
Page 130. Read. From newspapers to smartphones. The rise of the mass media.
Thanks to the mass media, information travels fast. Journalist Megan Michaels interviews Dr. Philip Kendall, a mass media expert.
Good morning, Dr. Kendall. People like to share information, don't they?
Yes. Long ago, when early humans made a discovery, they told their friends. Information spread from person to person. However, mass media is different. It brings news and information to many people very quickly.
When did mass media begin?
In 1440, Johannes Gutenberg changed the way information was shared. He invented the printing press. Before the printing press, people had to make books by hand. This was a slow process. His invention could quickly print many copies of a book. Then, about 150 years later, people printed the first newspapers in Europe. Today, millions of people around the world read newspapers every day.
How many newspapers are there?
There are over 6,000 daily newspapers in the world today. Publishers print over 700 million copies each day. Magazines are also popular because they focus on one subject, such as news, movies, fashion, or sports. Advertising helps to pay for the cost of publishing newspapers and magazines.
So what happened next in the history of mass media?
Movies, or moving pictures, were invented over 100 years ago. At that time, people started to film news and events from around the world. These short news films were called newsreels. When people went to the theater to watch a movie, they could also watch the news.
And then the television came next, right?
Actually, the radio came next. It began about the same time as movies, but the first radio station didn't broadcast until 1920. Today, there are over 44,000 radio stations around the world.
Do people still get their news from the radio?
Yes, they do. Many radio stations report the news every hour. Some stations broadcast the news all the time. People can listen to the news while they drive or work.
When did television broadcasting start?
It started in the 1930s. Now, television is everywhere, bringing news and entertainment to people around the world. Some events are broadcast live while they are happening.
So people have a lot of choices for their news, don't they?
They do, but you mustn't forget the latest choice, the web. Today, around 40% of the people in the world use the web. The web uses the internet to give us 24-hour news, and people can share information through social networks and blogs. Also, over 2 billion people now have smartphones. They can access the web wherever they go.
We live in very interesting times.
That's true. It will be exciting to see what's next in the world of mass media.
As we listen to the text, think, what else do you want to know about mass media? Tell your partner 3 things that you want to know more about. Let's answer the questions on page 132. We have A. Write the number for each detail beside the correct main idea in the chart. We have number 1, 40% of the people in the world use the web. The main idea is answered. The last one, the web is used a lot today. So, number 2, there are over 6,000 daily newspapers in the world today. 3, people could watch the news in the theaters for the first time. 4, he invented the printing press around 1440. The main ideas are Gutenberg changed the way information traveled. So this main idea, what detail supported? Number 4, he invented the printing press around 1440. Number 2, newspaper and magazines are very popular. Which supporting detail support this idea? Number 2, there are over 6,000 daily newspapers in the world today. Moving pictures changed the way people got news. For sure, number 3, people could watch the news in theaters for the first time. Now let's move to question B and C. Question B, write the types of mass media in the order in which they appeared in history, from the oldest to the newest. So the oldest is the newspaper. We have the web, newsreel, television, radio. After the newspaper, we had what? Newsreel. Then we have radio. Then television. The newest is the web. Question C, words in context. Read each numbered sentence, then circle 2 correct answers for each sentence. We have number 1. Meghan Michaels is a journalist. We have A. She writes music. She asks questions. She writes down information. So the answer for sure will be B and C. She asks questions. She writes down information. Number 2. People watched newsreel. We have A. Newsreel gave news. People saw them at theaters. They were long. The answer is A. Newsreel gave news. B. People saw them at theaters. Number 3. There are many radio stations in the world. A. They broadcast news. They are not popular. Some broadcast music. So the answer is A and C. They broadcast news. Some broadcast music. Number 4. The web is the latest choice for news. A. It is an old choice. It is the newest choice. It didn't exist many years ago. The correct answer are B and C. B. It is the newest choice. C. It didn't exist many years ago. Thanks for listening, and I'm glad to be here with you today. Goodbye for now, and wait for other videos. Bye.